As realtors, we get a lot of questions on what it is like to play pickleball here in Southwest Florida. We're thrilled to have you join us today on this YouTube video about pickleball in Southwest Florida. If you're curious about where and how it is run here in Southwest Florida, we've got Dustan, who is our community pickleball pro, who will be going over all the ins and outs of pickleball in this region. Stay tuned for our great interview with Dustan Muir, our pro here at the Plantation Somerset. And remember, whether you're moving in 3 months, 1 month, or 3 years, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, which is all in the description below, and we will help you with your smooth move to Fort Myers, Florida. Now, stay tuned and enjoy our interview.
Hello, Ron. Thanks for having me, and Cindy. My name's Dustan Muir, and welcome you guys. I see on the list here a bunch of our neighbors on the call. So what we'll do is kind of go over a little bit more about the pickleball and the basics, and a little about my intro to pickleball. We moved here in 2019 and was introduced for the first time to pickleball. And I came to the neighbors knowing nobody, and all these guys took me in, taught me how to play the game. And over the course of many years in my youth, I've coached many different sports, hockey being the main one. And I've picked this game up pretty quick and kind of got a little enthralled into it and learning the game and getting much better at it. And ultimately becoming a certified PPR, pickleball professional registry. And now I'm a certified instructor for Somerset Plantation. All right, enough about me. So Ron's got a lot of slides here. Pretty nice. Let me move that out of the way. A little bit about the history. Invented back in 1965. My understanding is that it was invented by a group, and the name of pickleball came up to be, Pickles was the name of the dog they had, and it would run back and forth and bring them balls, such and such. I don't know if that's true. I've heard it, sounds good, we'll stick with it. 72, they started building courts. 84, they started doing more tournaments, and see by here, 2005, introduced in Florida. Shortly before we moved down here, I actually heard of pickleball for the first time. And that was neighbors of ours up in Michigan who lived down here in Florida. And they told me they were heading back because they couldn't wait to start playing pickleball again. No idea, thought it was the weirdest name I've ever heard. But now I love it. All right, Ron. Oh, also in April, they started having tournaments. The big one down here is the US Open, and that's in Naples. And I've played in that one and did decently. All right, Rod, go ahead. Little introduction to pickleball. Pickleball is one of the fastest growing sports. People say it has a lot to do with different sports, badminton, tennis, ping pong. My real introduction to this, I was a badminton player when I was younger. I played badminton for many, many years, and it's really translated well into pickleball. I find badminton players tend to have a better beginning than tennis players do.
What?
Yep, that's my understanding. You tennis players like to smack and drive that ball a lot, where badminton players and ping pong players control the ball and the pace of the ball a little bit sooner. All right, the game is played on a court 20 by 40 feet, and it's split in half with a 7-foot kitchen line from each side. And the net sizing itself is at the sidelines 36 inches high, moves down into 40 or 34 inches, and then back up. So there's that gap of 2 inches height difference in the nets. All right. There's a bunch of different rules between pickleball and tennis. Tennis serve overhand, pickleball is underhand, same with badminton. So there's another catch right off the bat. So badminton is kind of one of the ones I led to. Players, they don't have to run so much because of it's a doubles game. And really, it's a lot more lunging back and forth, and the ball comes a lot quicker at you. Can be played indoors and outdoors. I've never played indoors myself, but I've always played badminton indoors. Equipments are minimal. We're going to get to rackets a little bit later. There's another slide, and I can talk a little bit more about paddles. And it's a very sociable game, right? And it's very much an easier sport to kind of get in there and have some fun with it. All right, pickleball rules. There are a lot of weird rules to this game. There's the kitchen line, there's serving underhand. In pickleball, it's typically played doubles. There are singles matches that happen. Games are typically scored to 11 points, win by 2. Sometimes they play games rally points to 15. First one to 15 wins the game. Just like tennis, we serve diagonal, but in pickleball, we get 2 opportunities. Each player gets to serve once. When we're serving, we have to allow that ball to bounce once on each time before we can then hit it out of the air. All right. The kitchen zone we talked about, that is the 7 feet out from the net on both sides. And it's really called we call it a kitchen, but it's a non-volley zone. We cannot hit anything out of the air while we're stepping or falling into that area there. Just as far as rules go, we have a lot of people that play in different communities, and they come to our community, and there are rules that tend to be different in different communities. And for instance, this morning we had somebody that we called the ball out and told us that we couldn't call the ball out during play. We can only say long or wide. And that was a rule that you can say out, but it's in the communication with your partner. After the ball bounces, you then have to make the official call of out. So you can say out, you can say whatever you want. That's in partner communication. But once the ball does land in or out, if it lands out, that's when you make the call. All right, go ahead. All right, pickleball. I love this sport. It's a great exercise. I enjoy bouncing around, running around. I'm a big trash talker with some of our guys in the neighborhood, right, Kelly? I know he's muted. That's a good thing. And just playing that ball and getting it back and forth and enjoying the doubles play and getting each other and serving and winning, getting off, coming back out with new players, not always playing with the same people all the time. So it's really great that way of getting to know more people. It's great for your brain slide here. It's actually really good because recently I've had some shoulder issues and I've decided to play left-handed. And doing so, I believe it's really increased my dexterity being able to play left-handed. Hopefully I don't have to do it much longer, but I've enjoyed doing that. And also, all right, we're going to paddles. So we've got a chart here that's Selkirk paddles. And what this is going to give you a good idea of the different paddles that are out there for beginners, advanced players. There's a few paddles that aren't on here. Here it shows your paddles can range up to about $150. Well, Selkirk has a new paddle out there and it's valued approximately $330.
Wow.
Yeah. Why anybody would pay that much, I don't know. I've used Selkirk. I've used a whole bunch of different paddles. Myself, I've settled on, if you can bring my screen up here, Ron, I can show a couple different paddles. And there's a few differences, even though you've got, on this slide, you've got a few where it's Selkirk and they've got their Vanguard, their hybrids, a whole bunch of different paddles. Can everybody see me here?
I don't think they can, Dustin.
They can see you with the paddles, but we
No,
don't see a separate
Okay,
screen.
yeah.
If you stop doing the screen share,
Yeah.
then we can kind of show them a little bit better. Is that
Yeah.
better?
I don't know.
And then you can drop back to screen share afterwards. But for paddles, there's many different types of paddles. Myself, I've gravitated to the Engage paddle, and they all kind of look the same, but there's 3 different styles of paddles here. This paddle here is my go-to paddle. It is a thicker paddle. It's more control based. I lose a little power using that paddle, but I gain more control. This paddle here has a different surface on it. You can hear that surface, where that's a texture that's built into the paddle with the carbon. So this has a carbon face and this one has a graphite face. So there's a little bit difference in the paddle. So when you start looking for new paddles, I would suggest, instead of just buying whatever's out there, there's a store around here called Ace Tennis and Pickleball. They'll allow you to go down and demo a few paddles for a few days. And then you come and use them, you take them back, you grab a couple more. And that's how I got about ending up with this paddle. And the paddle that I used right before that was this Babolat paddle. I love this paddle. It's got great control. It's a little less expensive and it's a light paddle. So there are a whole bunch of different paddles out there. It's just take your time. Don't rush into getting a new paddle right away if you're going to be spending that kind of money. I know our community here is very big on this paddle. And Cindy, I don't know if you've gotten this one yet, did you?
Yeah, because you told me it made me play better.
And look, you won yesterday, so
Yeah.
that's good. And congratulations, by the way. Cindy puts on a round robin in the community quite often. And a lot of the players come out and play. And we had ice cream last night, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
All right, and thanks for that as well. It was great. All right, so yeah,
All right,
this
we're
is
back
just
to screen
Selkirk
share.
paddles. Sorry, Ron?
I say we're back to screen share.
Okay, good. So these are Selkirk paddles, and there's many different kind of paddles out there. Here's some communities that have some really nice pickleball facilities. Myself, I played at Arborwood, very nice. Esplanade, I played at Marina Bay, Miramar Lakes, Landings. They're all really nice pickleball facilities. They just have different things going for them. I see our courts aren't up here. I think that's on your next slide.
Yeah, there were
It
2.
is
Fort
6
Myers
dedicated
for
courts.
those.
So that was the other ones was at Bonita. Sorry.
These
pickleball
are,
facilities,
these are
yeah.
all in Fort
Same
Myers.
thing. Maybe the
Yeah,
next one.
it's just 2 slides worth
Carry over.
of communities in Fort Myers that have pickleball facilities. And the other thing that you might note here too is how many of them actually have lighted courts as
Correct.
well.
Yeah, and Arborwood, they have LED lights. And
Oh,
they're really nice. They're very, very pleasing. They're not harsh when you're playing that night. The older lights, they can be a little harsh if you look up at them.
You can see some of the older communities,
Yeah.
like Paseo. I mean, they only have 2 dedicated courts, at least as of this research. I don't know if they've added any.
I've heard talk that they were going to, but as of now, I don't know.
I mean, just like I'm going to say, just like Somerset, we only had 2 and we added 4 more. So these communities, while they may only have a few, this is such a growing demand that a lot of these communities are adding.
The
Yeah,
other thing
it's
about
going crazy.
Paseo is their pickleball courts are spread out in their community. So I think it, like pickleball is such like a not only just a sport, but it is a gathering place to meet other people.
It is.
I love these communities that have, 4, 6, 2 even, where you gather together and you play.
Well, I think the best thing about our plantation courts is I go there and play in the morning when we're not doing any clinics and that. And I think for me, the best part about it is between games where we get to sit and shoot the breeze and, give each other a hard time about how they played and, and then getting prepped to go and play the next game. So we can sit down, and the social aspect of it here is phenomenal. And I really enjoy it. And the levels of play that you see throughout the communities it's such a great variance. And we have some really good players here. And Bonita, there's some good spots there. I find that a lot of these courts in Bonita are kind of older courts. They're kept really nice, but they are still a little bit older. You'll see some that have cracks and all that kind of stuff, but I'll guarantee you within the next year or so, they'll be refinished and ready to go again. So a lot of the communities are really stepping up and refreshing their courts.
Hey, I wanted to mention here on Saturday from 1 to 4, Verdana Village on Corkscrew is having their amenities open house from 1 to 4. And that is the community that has the indoor courts. So if anybody wants to go see, you can just pop in.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
I know here on this list with the Stero, if you go back one more, the place at Corkscrew has some really nice courts, very strong players from that community. I know there's a few players over there that are high-end players. And I know a few NHL former players that live there too and play. So a lot of nice courts around here. It's hard to go somewhere and not find anything.
Yeah.
So a lot of these places that you've seen, aside from our Somerset ones, when I do instruction, Brooks Park here, I'm over there quite often, more in the afternoon after everybody's left. That is a huge one for drop-in for public, where you can just show up, put your paddle in and play with a whole bunch of different players. That's when we talked about older courts, how they're not necessarily beautiful like our Somerset ones are, but they're there. They're community park where everybody can go and play. Very good competition there. Just like Veterans Park, that's where they hold the US Open. And that's a phenomenal place. You can get lost very easily in the courts that they have there because there's so many of them. I believe it's 64 courts. And then they have the main one where they do the pro tournaments there, that one grandstand. Very nice facility.
Dustin, if someone's watching this from Wisconsin or somewhere else, considering moving down here and want to get involved in pickleball, is many of these public areas, can a real beginner go there and feel welcomed and be able to jump in and get some friendly advice?
So let's say Brooks Park, for instance, they have 2, 4, 6, they have 12 courts. And Brooks Park is separated by 6 and 6. When you come into Brooks Park, the first 6 courts are going to be the beginner to intermediate players. So you can get in there and you can find like-minded players, like caliber players, and stay on that side. If you're looking to be a little bit more competitive and you want to play some higher end players, you go to the other 6. And then you kind of weed yourself in there. But if you're a beginner, I would say Brooks Park is really good. This time of year isn't that bad, but as it becomes in season, it becomes very busy. But it is still a good spot to go if you're, I meet a lot of people that stay here and they live in condos and they don't have a facility for pickleball in their community. They go to Brooks Park. And same with veterans. There's some other places that are really nice as well.
Well, I just saw something too. There's some of the Ys now have the Estero YMCA, I think it was, has pickleball. So maybe, I don't know if they have classes for the.
Yeah, Bonita YMCA, they do tournaments often. I do their charity tournament. It's a Say No to Drugs tournament that they have there. Very well run. I think it's run by Simone Jardine. I never know if I say the name correct. A pro female player. She's phenomenal. She kind of runs that tournament a lot. I think she does a lot of her lessons out of Bonita, the YMCA there. Very good pro there. All right. So the Pickleball Club, I know Cindy, you mentioned this here. I had never heard of it. And I went online and I checked it out and it looks pretty awesome. And I think we're going to try and get some sort of field trip with some of us. I see Kelly on here. I see Denise. And maybe we can get a bunch of people down there, go down and enjoy the day.
Good.
Yeah, there's a restaurant there, a snack bar, indoor and outdoor. If you don't want to play pickleball, you're tired of that, they have bocce ball courts here as well. It looks pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I will definitely go.
Looks like a nice concept that's just
Yeah.
right now.
If you go to their website, there's a virtual visit throughout the court or the facilities and show you where the restaurants are and all that.
Cool.
Looks pretty nice. And that's not far from here, is it? It's about 25 minutes.
Sarasota, I thought.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sarasota? It's a little
I
bit
don't
more.
think they built the one in Fort Myers yet, but I'm not positive.
No, the one I looked at is it? Yeah, in Sarasota. All right. So pickleball again is one of the fastest growing sports. You've got the PPA where all these stars and athletes are buying teams, getting on the ground floor to do this.
And it's not just an old person sport anymore.
No, I played in a league right before my injury. And one of the toughest games I had were against 2 70-year-olds.
Yeah.
And they were phenomenal.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of the fastest growing sports. It is noisy. Right before we moved down here from Belleville, Michigan, they were putting a court in next to the rec center that was right next to a house. They were putting 4 courts in there. We moved down here prior to it being done, but I can only imagine the noise that house is getting right now, right next to the court. But we put up a noise barrier to help out with the condos that are next, and we hear that's pretty good. And it helps keep the noise down. Why is pickleball one of the fastest growing sports? It's easy to play, easy to have access to it and become a player. You start playing with like caliber players, and all you do is hit the ball back and forth, running around, having fun. You make a great shot, you enjoy it. You laugh, you do again. So I really enjoy playing. I love playing with different caliber players, advanced players and intermediates and beginners, because it's just nice watching them hit the balls over the net and enjoying their progression. Where is the best states to play? Of course, Florida.
Yay.
Do we talk about any others?
No.
I know Wisconsin and Minnesota are really jumping on, and they're getting
And
a lot
Arizona
more
too.
fun. Arizona, they have the professional where they train the professional players. One of the main camps is in Arizona. And it's not the heat. Here it's the humidity, right?
Yeah.
And then the average player, pickleball players, here we typically, I'm the young guy around here, so I get teased a lot, but I play typically players that are 30 to 45. That's where, when I go and play with my guys. Everywhere else I go, it's all over the place. And the older you are, the better you can get into enjoying it and hitting the ball back and forth. If you give yourself a little bit more time to progress and you start, those that start a little earlier don't necessarily mean they're better. So the age in pickleball can be a very deceiving factor on whether a player is good or not.
Well, this research says that more than 70% of pickleball players are between the ages of 18 and 44. That's amazing.
I would be surprised if, I think it's a lot. I think the percentage is less than that. I think the percentage is higher for 50 and up.
Well, we live in Florida too. I mean, this is a national survey, so.
Yeah, so there should be a Florida stat. So 50 and up should be 70%. But yeah, it's a phenomenal game to get into, and I find it much more social, and there's more players on the court when you're playing pickleball versus tennis. And I know when I watch the tennis players, when I walk by, they're all quiet and they're all being sincere and no trash talking. You go to the pickleball courts and it's loud and everybody's enjoying themselves.
Okay, well, I believe that's our last slide. Again, Dustan, thank you so much. Any of you who are viewing this either tonight, which I think most everybody knows Dustan, but those of you who might catch this on our YouTube channel, reach out to Cindy or I, and you got any questions for Dustan, we will put you in touch with him. If you're coming down here to look at property and want to see some of these communities that have great pickleball facilities, we will be happy to show you around. So
got one chat here. Hold on, let's see. Oh, Dorothy. Oh, you're welcome, Dorothy. All right.
So anyway, until next month, I really haven't picked next month's topic yet, but so if anybody has one that they would like to hear about, shoot us a text, let us know what that might be. But we try and do this every month, bring you up to date on the numbers regarding Southwest Florida and have a special guest speaker. So again, thanks, Dustan, and see you guys on the courts, I guess.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See you on the court.